Welcome in. It's Reaction Monday here on Jock's three-man front. Pat and Molly, Landrum, Conrad out the next couple days. We'll be back with us on Wednesday. This is game week for the Alabama Crimson Tide. The college football playoff will get underway on Friday. We've got plenty to talk about in regards to that game. We will go out to Oklahoma. Curtis Fitzpatrick, good friend of the program, does morning show there in Oklahoma City. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour as he'll give us a little preview of what's going on, including the potential of some nice cold weather on Friday night there in Norman, Oklahoma. Nick Kelly from AL.com, he's going to join us in about 15 minutes. We'll get the Alabama side of things. At 11 o'clock, a very interesting interview. Sam Webb, who writes for the Michigan 247 site called the Michigan Insider. He was on Paul Feinbaum's show late last week, and he continues to write on their website that Kalen DeBoer is a name of interest for the search for a new head coach at the University of Michigan. And we start there, Landrum, because yesterday afternoon we got a statement from Kalen DeBoer that he is perfectly happy in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see that statement coming from him, but apparently they felt the need to put that out there, that there was enough smoke or distraction, however you want to call it, leading into game week. He wanted to put it all to rest. And, of course, this being a time of transfer portal and everything else, you got to put it out there. My question, Pat, right now, just knowing what we know on the surface of Michigan and what's been reported, that if you're a coach, and I understand that there's extenuating circumstances, but if you're a coach like Kalen DeBoer right now, why would you really want to entertain going to Ann Arbor with the unknowns, what we don't know about that athletic department? The school has launched a probe into investigating every nook and cranny. Do you even trust that process? How much has Ward Manuel known? While not just this with Sharon Moore, but all of the stuff that's gone on here in the past 5 years at that school, in that department. I don't know why you would entertain it unless you entertain it because it's a big enough name where people think that it's a threat for you to possibly leave your current job and you can get a contract extension.
Well, it's interesting because most people, especially coaches in the coaches world, they do not want to go work somewhere for someone that didn't hire them. So let's just say that he is interested in the Michigan job. Let's say that he took the job. Do we have any faith that Ward Manuel is going to be the AD in a year?
No.
Like when he took the Alabama job, he knew that Greg Byrne was on solid footing, and the basketball team goes to the Final Four, and the athletic department as a whole been very successful. So, yeah, I mean, he had no problems with Greg Byrne's future, but you can't say the same thing about Ward Manuel.
No. So, and I'll be very interested to see if this is an authentic investigation and they truly go in there and they get an independent whoever to go and conduct this, that all of it gets reported and we see what's been going on inside of that athletic department. Because I would label it as toxic right now.
Well, it was interesting because if you remember prior to the SEC championship, we actually got Kalen DeBoer to say something about the Penn State job. Remember Charlie Potter?
Yeah.
Asked the question.
And that was set up. He was told to ask that.
And you had Kalen DeBoer said, "Hey, Charlie, I appreciate you asking me that question. No, I'm happy, blah, 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 blah." Well, then the Michigan job comes open. And then the same type of media reporting in Michigan is the same that was going on in Pennsylvania, which was, oh, yes, he's the number one candidate. I can tell you, because I have not been here, but I've spent a lot of time on the phone talking to a lot of people, and they were anticipating this statement to come out on Saturday. And then Saturday came, and there was no statement. And so then the speculation really started to churn from a lot of people that cover Alabama going, okay, we've been told that the statement is ready to go. Why isn't it out yet? Then all of a sudden you start thinking, well, is there something to this Michigan story? Why isn't it not out? Is it Jimmy Sexton trying to use that as leverage to get a new deal done in Tuscaloosa, to get more money, get more years, whatever the case may be? And then you saw yesterday the statement comes out in which DeBoer says him and his family, they're happy. He's not interested in anything else. He's in Tuscaloosa.
Never say never, but I vote for the latter of what you just said. And Jimmy Sexton trying to get another deal and a contract extension. And you say, why does he deserve one? Look at the other coaches. I'm just saying the climate of college football in the market, what it looks like right now. Look at the other coaches that have been rewarded with new deals for not doing what Kalen DeBoer's done.
You know, it's so interesting because as time has changed, you know, the job and the expectations at Alabama, like back in the old days, I'm talking about before Saban.
Yeah.
BS, before Saban. The deal was you got to beat Auburn.
Yep.
You got to have a winning record against Auburn. Bill Curry was a good football coach, but he couldn't beat Auburn.
He was 0-4.
Could not beat Auburn. That was a problem. All right. Well, then it's like, what is your record against Tennessee? What's your record against LSU? Well, let's look at Kalen DeBoer. What's his record against Auburn? Hadn't lost. What's his record against Tennessee? 1-1. He hasn't lost to LSU. So all of a sudden, these teams that are his biggest rivals.
2-1 against Georgia.
Yeah, he's 2-1 against Georgia. So, I mean, it's like back in the old days, you would be giving this guy like a 10-year contract extension.
Yeah.
But because you're coming off the heels of Nick Saban, you didn't make the college football playoff last year. You haven't won an SEC title, but you did get there this year and lose. But you're in the CFP. So in the old days, this absolutely would have been contract extension territory. But now, because of this new era that we're in, and he's coming on the heels of Nick Saban, that is not good enough for a lot of people.
No, and we knew this going in, that whether the standards, whether it be the benchmark of a contract for a coach within an athletic department, or how we as the media evaluate coaches, or even fan bases have to look at it. With the college football playoff and now the expansion, and we could get even more of an expansion, the transfer portal and the wackiness it is college football right now, Pat, I think we've all had to kind of adjust our standard and what we expect from certain programs.
So his statement yesterday, he says, my family and I are very happy in Tuscaloosa and remain extremely grateful for the support of the President Moeller, Greg Byrne, the board, and so many others. We have an incredible opportunity in front of us. So my sole focus is on Alabama football and our preparations to play Oklahoma in the college football playoff. I have not spoken and have no interest in speaking with anyone else about any other job. I am fully committed to this program and look forward to continuing as the head football coach at the University of Alabama.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that Jimmy Sexton can't talk to people. But I take Kalen DeBoer at his word until proven otherwise. I want to go back to something I said about Charlie Potter. I don't know. When he asked that question, it felt like, not that Charlie wouldn't be capable or have the gumption to ask that question, but it felt like in that setting with the extended time that they had in that 30 minutes that it was suggested to him, hey, why don't you throw out that question and maybe we can clear the air.
Well, it was one that a lot of people were wondering when it was going to be asked, and it was finally asked. Now, today, with this statement coming out yesterday afternoon, he's got his press conference at 1 o'clock that we will try to carry the audio for you coming up at 1 o'clock, where he's meeting with the media, and I'm sure someone will ask him about that statement. Yesterday on Twitter, or X, whichever you prefer to call it, Greg Byrne, he was on social media. He says, we are proud to have Coach DeBoer leading our football program at the University of Alabama. He's an incredible coach and does an excellent job with the development of our student athletes, both on and off the field. Just as he is committed to this team, we are committed to him, and we look forward to taking the field Friday in the first round of the college football playoff. Now, it's interesting because that line, just as he is committed to this team, we are committed to him, and we look forward to taking the field Friday. There has been some speculation, especially from the Michigan media, that there has been a contract extension on the table for Kalen DeBoer, and Kalen DeBoer has not signed it. Maybe the fact that he is trying to get ready for the CFP. Maybe it's Jimmy Sexton saying, hold up, don't sign anything yet. Let's see what Michigan has officially to offer, whatever the case may be. This is the way agents handle stuff. So,
well, and I don't believe that Kalen DeBoer ends up leaving Alabama to go to Michigan. But if I'm Michigan, on the Michigan side of things, looking at just the pool of candidates that have been talked about and the uncertainty surrounding that job in that athletic department, yeah, they're clinging to the what I view as the last bit of hope to get an elite coach to come and fill that spot in Kalen DeBoer. Is Jed Fish gonna win the press conference for you and your fan base? Would Jed Fish's wife and child, knowing what just happened in the wake and not knowing certain things, you going to sell them on going to Ann Arbor?
It is interesting because Kenny Dillingham was the hot name over the weekend until the story came out that Arizona State was getting ready to sign him to a new long-term lucrative deal. People in Michigan point out he has yet to sign that, just like if Kalen DeBoer has a contract extension, that hasn't been signed yet. Another name that I've seen pop up is Eli Drinkwitz. Yes, Eli Drinkwitz signed a new deal at Mizzou, but if he were to leave Mizzou, it's a $5 million buyout. And in this day and time, $5 million is nothing, especially for the University of Michigan.
That'll get you 1 year of Arch Manning as your quarterback.
So if Michigan doesn't get Kalen DeBoer, if Michigan doesn't get Kenny Dillingham, if Jed Fish decides to stay on the West Coast, then if you're interested in Eli Drinkwitz, it'll cost you $5 million.
That's like half of a Bryce Underwood.
Yeah. So we'll see. So we'll talk to Sam Webb coming up at the top of the hour. We'll get the Michigan side of things in regards to their coaching search and what else is going on with the Sharon Moore fiasco. But when we come back on Three Man Front, Nick Kelly will join us. He is on his way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to cover the press conferences today for the CFP. He'll join us next on Three Man Front. I can never go wrong with a little Alabama on a Monday.
Oh, I love it. Love this song.
Fort Payne, Alabama.
Everyone tonight.
Joining us down the Higginbotham hotline, I'm sure he's singing this as he is heading down to the wonderful city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
This was a Christmas favorite for Nick and his family.
Yes, because I think Nick is from Minnesota,
That's
so
right.
I'm sure they sang that a lot during the Christmas holidays. Hey, Nick, how are you?
I'm good. Pulled it right off my playlist driving down. So I guess, how'd you know? A little freaky.
Well, what you been doing this weekend, Nick? Haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, man, it feels like Taco Tuesday, seeing you guys in person was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know about you guys, but things certainly
It was a long weekend.
it got interesting after that.
Yeah, it did. And I'm not so much referring to the basketball game on Saturday night against Arizona, but let's start with the football team that you're covering and going down, getting ready for an interesting media onslaught. Yesterday, the statement comes out that Kalen DeBoer, his family, they're happy. He's not looking at other jobs. Just tell us what you hear on that front. Was this something that was in the making that maybe in the last couple of days or maybe the last week that we were kind of waiting on? Just were you surprised the timing of it coming out?
No, I wasn't surprised because I think that if you're Alabama, you want to be able to have that certainty or have that statement put out before this week because you have a playoff game this week. It is game week, and I think even the most talented compartmentalizing and people that you'll find will still have trouble not being distracted by something like that. So I think it was something that many people wanted to have DeBoer put out there just because, yeah, again, this is a big week, and the last thing you want to be at the center of attention is your head coach potentially taking another job. So I think that, yeah, they were very happy to be able to put that out before today and before the game week officially starts. So, yeah, it didn't surprise me. I think the timing made a lot of sense. And, yeah, I think it was needed just because there has been so much chatter about that Michigan job. And to me, this has been different than the Penn State situation.
Nick, as you're trying to rationalize and it's going through your head with speculation rumors, okay, what if you make a pros list, a cons list, why would Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama to go to Michigan? I look at that Michigan job compared to the Penn State, and I would say in a normal year on the surface, Michigan, that's a better job. And I would see the likelihood of going to Ann Arbor a lot more than Happy Valley. But given everything that's happened, the wake of not only Sharon Moore, but everything that's happened over the last 5 years within that athletic department, some things we don't know, I have a hard time you selling me, not you, but anyone selling me that someone of the ilk of a Kalen DeBoer without this investigation going on would take that job. Just the unknowns and what seems like a lot of toxicity right now.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that any coach who's going to consider it and the person who ends up taking it is going to do their homework and be cognizant of that because, you know, the catchphrase or the cliche phrase, I should say, is alignment. Everyone loves to talk about that, about what kind of alignment does the place have. And I think that if you speak with certainty on what that is right now in Michigan, I don't know that you're being completely honest in that way just because there is some turmoil. There are some, like you said, the investigation going on. And so I think that as a coach, you would be thorough about that. But would that prevent you from taking it? I don't know about that. I think it depends on how comfortable you are with it. But I do think that, yeah, it definitely makes you want to do your homework and make sure that your agent and company are doing their homework as well.
So let me ask you about the response on Twitter. Obviously, the statement for Kalen DeBoer came out via Yay Alabama, and then Greg Byrne quote tweeted it. And he basically says that he's happy that Coach DeBoer is, made that statement, and that he says that he is as committed to this team as we are committed to him. So as I read that statement, that kind of sounded like to me that maybe, perhaps, is there talk of an extension or maybe kind of a redone contract, or is this kind of a wait and see how this team does in the CFP before we start talking about maybe another contract extension?
Well, let me say this, Pat. I think it's important to point out, I do not think that statement goes out unless he is staying. I think there's a lot of people trying to parse words, interpret it, just without looking at, even reading the statement. To me, the statement coming out is him staying. And it would surprise me if that wouldn't be the case. I really, truly believe that statement being released means that he's staying. Now, what it means in terms of him staying and what maybe it took to keep him, and I think we'll find out. There's nothing that I have heard concrete enough to be able to report or share publicly at this point. But yeah, I mean that's how these things tend to work, right? We saw that happen several years ago with Nate Oates and the Kentucky overtures, and right now I'm parked next to a beautiful basketball facility that's in the works. So there tends to be things that happen when there is interest from other schools that happen in your favor. So we'll see what that is for DeBoer. But yeah, I think that to be very clear, him putting that statement out, all parties agreeing to that statement going out, to me indicates he's staying.
As far as some of those wants, if you were guessing, is there anything that stands out to you that maybe DeBoer could be seeking?
Yeah, to me, I think the important things for most coaches right now is what kind of resources do you have to build a roster? What kind of revenue sharing? What kind of NIL are you getting? Are you having to work with? You talk about what makes a job like Michigan attractive or what might make someone want to take that job. Well, Michigan has a lot of resources. They have a lot of very well-off donors who can help out in certain departments. So I think that's what makes that job attractive and why I'm sure they will get a good candidate for that job is because of how well resourced they are. So yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think salary pool for assistants is always important to coaches who get the big picture, and I think Kalen does get the big picture. And obviously, like bumping compensation and things like that will probably you wouldn't be surprised to see that happen as well for someone like Kalen, because people focus on okay, what kind of job has he done? It's maybe up for debate, but I mean, look, they improved this year. They won 10 games and made the playoff. They continue to beat Auburn. They continue to beat LSU, Georgia 2-1. So I mean, Kalen's doing a good job. Of course, there are always things that you'd like to see improvement in, and I think that people here are so conditioned to just domination all the time. But I do think that a bump in compensation would make sense, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen.
Nick Kelly from AL.com covers Alabama, joins us on the Higginbotham hotline. Let's talk about the game coming up on Friday there in Norman, Oklahoma. That was a house of nightmares last year for this Alabama football team. A lot more at stake now as it's round one of the college football playoff. As we go into the week's preparation, is the injury front the area that you're paying the closest attention to in regards to who Alabama is going to have available, especially on the offensive side of the ball?
100%. To me, that's everything. Just how healthy are these guys? How healthy are the guys who have missed time and those who have played? I think that's just going to be the story of the week, frankly, to see how they progress. And, we'll get those availability reports throughout the week and kind of see how things go. And, Kalen had a lot of optimism after the SEC championship game. We talked to him that Sunday about several of the guys. So to me, it comes down to, though, is Josh Cuevas available? He is the X factor for this offense. He was a big part of the offense actually doing very well outside of turnovers against Oklahoma. So I'm going to be following, I think, his status more than anyone else's this week.
Are you thinking more, I'm guessing just the style of offenses that we've seen, well, especially on the Oklahoma side, and then couple that with the complementary defense, you expecting something low scoring, something even lower scoring than what we got in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's high scoring because I think the strength of both teams right now are their defenses. Oklahoma's offense doesn't scare me much, and Alabama's offense of late hasn't been near as scary either. So I think that Alabama's defense is going to play well. I'd be surprised if they don't have a good game, and I'm sure Oklahoma's defense is going to be tough just as well because they're one of the best defenses in the country. So yeah, if this game gets into the 20s, I could maybe seeing it that way, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe around 20 points, give or take, maybe a 23-20 game or a 20-17 game or something in that vein.
All right, before we let you go, I got to ask you about Saturday night because the first half, Alabama basketball, they look like one of the best teams in the country, taking on the number one team in the country. But then the second half happened and the rebounding issues became even more apparent. Just your thoughts on what you saw at Legacy Arena on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that I thought there was going to be something in the middle that would play out between the two just because rebounding has been an issue for Alabama, and Arizona just has a lot of dudes that just are just big, strong, tall dudes. I mean, they got the one guy who's 7'2", who's quite good, and I think that it went better than I thought in the first half, and then the second half went worse than I thought it was going to go. So it really was a tough second half. But I think it was one of those things where, I mean, Arizona might, I mean, they're number one right now, but they truly might be the best team in the country. And that's going to wear on you when you got to battle those guys all day. And when Aiden Sherrill doesn't have much help, and then he's dealing with full body cramps and has to sit out. And so, yeah, I think it went from they already were going to have an uphill climb on the glass, but that it was only going to get worse and worse as time went on, especially once Sherrill was out of the game. So definitely, I mean, not what you want. I'm not ready to plan on the season or anything like that, but obviously they would have liked a little better showing from a rebounding perspective.
No, that's right. But Arizona and Michigan, I'll throw them in there. Those are my two that I would not be at all surprised to see cut down the nets there in early April.
No, I haven't watched much Michigan, but just seeing Arizona, I mean, that team has depth. They have all different kinds of ways they can score, succeed. I mean, that's a really, really quality basketball team.
It was a really cool atmosphere. I was watching it on TV, but it appeared Legacy was packed out and good environment for college basketball. Yeah. So
no, it was fantastic, especially when technically football season is not over, at least for the Alabama faithful.
I tried to tell some of my Bama buddies before the game they weren't familiar with Arizona. You know, they're still in football mode, and I said, well, I'll just tell you what I'd seen about Arizona before the game. If Alabama keeps it within 12, that's a win. They didn't believe me. Now they believe me.
Yeah. No, again, Arizona has just about everything. Jaden Bradley looked fantastic. I mean, they just have all these different types of guys that are going to give you problems. And credit to Alabama, they hung in. I mean, they had the lead at halftime, but it was going to be hard to play full 40 minutes and beat those guys.
Nick Kelly covers Alabama for AL.com. Nick, have a safe trip to Norman, Oklahoma. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Appreciate it. That's Nick Kelly from AL.com. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your source for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, from Nick, we go out to the great state of Oklahoma. Curtis Fitzpatrick talking Alabama and the Sooners next on Three Man Front. 10:31, three-man front on this Monday. Talking Alabama, Oklahoma. Nick Kelly covers the CrimsonTideAL.com already joining us. Hoping to catch up with Curtis Fitzpatrick out in the state of Oklahoma to preview this matchup, maybe get the Sooner side of things. Your phone calls are welcome as well. 800-239-WJOX.
A little bit of transfer portal news this morning. The former Florida quarterback, DJ Lagway, he is entering his name in the transfer portal. Early indications are that Baylor, Miami, and LSU are schools of interest.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there. But DJ Lagway, who was the primed recruit in that signing class for Billy Napier, and he is now in the transfer portal.
Wouldn't that be something if he went to LSU?
I think there's going to probably be a lot of quarterbacks that's probably going to be on that want list, I would suppose. But we'll see. We got a big game coming up on Friday. I know the folks out in Oklahoma, they're getting fired up as the Oklahoma Sooners in the college football playoff, just like Alabama for the first time in the extended version. And joining us now, Curtis Fitzpatrick from our sister station, WWLS, out in Oklahoma City, joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Curtis, please tell me the weather's going to be a beautiful 65, 70 degrees on Friday night, right?
Hey, I can't promise that, but I can promise you it's going to be better than it was last night when we dipped into the teens when I'm having to make sure my pipes weren't going to freeze. But no, it's trending upward. Right now it's like at this moment 35 degrees as I'm heading down to the Brent Venables press conference. But toward Friday, we're dipping into 40s, 50s. It should be decent football weather. I think throughout the day, if you're coming in from Alabama, you might be in the 50s. At night, it might cool down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be too bad, actually.
I'm curious, what was the reaction from the Oklahoma fans? Because the Alabama fans' instant reaction that I talked to after Selection Sunday was, you know what? Not bad. Favorable matchup. What about the Sooner side of things?
Same thing. Same thing. I mean, honestly, we were talking on our show in anticipation of the rankings being revealed before we knew Notre Dame might get left out. We thought, well, if it's one of three teams, Alabama, Miami, or Notre Dame. Now, obviously, it's hard. I mean, we think it's hard to beat a team twice. We saw Alabama had that issue with Georgia. But I think most people thought the better matchup would be Alabama versus those other two. Not saying it's going to be easy by any means, given what happened in that game. OU guys, I mean, they had to play a perfect special teams game. Alabama turned the ball over 3 times, and they still only won by 2 points. So I think if you're just comparing them, I think people seeing OU win that game on the road, I think naturally your instinct is, well, you get them at home. You already have somewhat of a blueprint. I think Oklahoma did a really good job against Ty Simpson. Maybe that was the blueprint for Georgia going forward. So I think fans feel confident, but I think they would. I think seeing something new would have been cool, but I think kind of the same sentiment. Yeah, they would take Alabama probably even over those other 2 teams.
So, Curtis, let me ask you, since you follow this team on a daily basis and you guys talk about this every day on your radio station, I am curious. John Mateer, he just, from an outsider point of view, just does not seem like he is the same quarterback before he got injured. Do you sense the same thing? What has been the issue with the offense? It just doesn't seem like it's been going, and had to have a very special day just to get by an LSU team that struggled.
Yeah, listen, I remember, I think I was on with you guys the week of the Auburn game talking about Mateer. You know, this was coming off the Michigan game a couple of weeks prior, and he was in the Heisman discussion, guys, and he is a completely different quarterback since he got injured. It just flipped, and I think it's a confidence issue as much as anything. The offensive line has been banged up. There's a chance they get their center back this week, Jake Michaela, which will help. They kind of retooled their offensive line on the fly, and maybe there's some disjointed activity there, but they're getting better. They're freshmen. They got 2 freshman tackles now that are playing, and they've been playing okay. But Mateer, there's something about him. It's not the same. I think maybe having just a few more weeks off could help him, but we've seen their offense kind of is what it is. They're don't turn the ball over, and get a big play offense now. And part of it maybe is John Mateer just needs the offseason to kind of retool his confidence and maybe get a little healthier. Because right now, I mean, we haven't seen anything to indicate he is getting better from that standpoint, but he can still run the ball. They're still better with him at quarterback versus, fans are. They always want the backup quarterback. They're not going to throw Michael Hawkins in there. After he had a couple turnovers in the LSU game, people were calling for him to be benched. But then he came back and made a couple of big plays. I mean, they had an 86-yard touchdown against Missouri that turned the tide, but they weren't doing anything on offense until that point. Same thing happened against LSU. They were doing nothing, and then they hit a big play, a 50-yarder to Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania, and that's it. They're a big play, don't turn the ball over offense. If they do that, they rely on their defense and their special teams, which has been fantastic, then they can win most any game. But if he turns the ball over, that's a bad sign. But I do think the biggest problem for him is probably just confidence since the injury.
As far as what Alabama does, Curtis, what's the biggest fear that Oklahoma's coaching staff has going into this game on Friday night?
Well, I think their defense. I think Oklahoma feels pretty good against Alabama's offense, given that Alabama's had a problem running the ball and Oklahoma's done a really good job. I mean, we saw what happened in the Georgia SEC championship game. I think Oklahoma's very confident. They're man for man is good, if not better than Georgia defensively. And they're getting more opportunistic defensively, too, getting turnovers. They didn't do that earlier in the year. And that Alabama game was one of the games. In fact, you can go the week before that, Tennessee. They got the big turnover. They got the pick six against Alabama. They've been getting those plays, but offensively, they've just done nothing. So I think the biggest fear would be Alabama forcing Mateer into turnovers and maybe just keeping them stagnant. So I think defensively, OU has got to figure out ways to do more than just rely on a big play. I don't think you can do that. They got to find a way to get some sustained drives going against that Alabama defense, which they didn't give up a lot against Oklahoma in that game. OU won because of what we talked about, the pick six, special teams, Tate Sandell. They got the best kicker in the country. But I think the thing that you're worried about the most if you're OU is that Alabama defense.
Curtis, in regards to the injury front, Alabama was really banged up towards the end of the regular season, even in the SEC championship game. Starting running back was out. The starting tight end was out. We're not really sure about their availability for Friday night, but I wanted to ask you about Oklahoma's health, especially R. Mason Thomas, because he did not play in the first Alabama game, and if that's a piece of the puzzle that is back for the Sooners, that's trouble for Alabama. What is the status of R. Mason Thomas?
Well, he is questionable. I guess I didn't realize that they were still doing injury reports for the playoff games, but they are, so we should know something. We'll have Brent Venables' press conference here in a little bit, and I'm sitting outside the press room right now, and we won't get anything out of this. That's just standard procedure.
Yeah, we're familiar. We're familiar with those.
Yeah, okay. So you know what I'm talking about. I would say he's got to be trending close because he's been out since the Tennessee game when he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Listen, if he's back and healthy, he is pound for pound their best player on defense, on a great defense. And in his absence, Taylor Wine he was Defensive Player of the Week in the Alabama game. He's had a great run in his absence. So if you add him to that, well, then you don't have to trick it up. I think in the first game they probably had to mix some things up. Venables is great at showing different looks, and I think he did that against Ty Simpson. But you go pretty good base defense if you got both those guys on the edge, Wine on one side and R. Mason Thomas, and they have a lot of guys that can rotate in. And you can maybe play it more standard, and maybe that's even another advantage for Oklahoma. So I would say questionable, but he hasn't played since the Tennessee game. And you got to think, having many weeks off, he's been on the injury report the last couple of games as questionable. You got to think he's at least trending upward, but no guarantees. We'll find out throughout the week. But if he's back, that's a huge get for Oklahoma.
Curtis, 5 days away from kickoff. What's your gut tell you? If you want to give us a prediction, feel free to.
Listen, obviously the game is played on the field. I can't imagine the distractions of Kalen DeBoer in Michigan, although he put the statement out. It's not a helpful thing for Alabama. I think Oklahoma's defense does it again. Now, are you going to expect perfection on the special teams? And I mean, every phase it was the best game I've seen in years in that first Alabama game. But I think you can rely on Tate Sandell. They're just solid all the way around. And if Mateer doesn't turn the ball over, I'm not predicting he won't or will, but I kind of lean Oklahoma in this game. I think they've got some good momentum. They're feeling good. Kind of playing with house money because I don't think before the Tennessee game anybody was saying they're going to go to the playoff. Well, then they rattled off all these wins after the Ole Miss game. The one thing I would say, go back and look at Oklahoma's schedule, though. They've been a better road team, true road team, than at home. They struggled against Auburn. They pulled it out. They lost to Ole Miss. They struggled a little bit against LSU and Missouri. They were great against Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. They were excellent. So when they've been away from home, it's like I don't know if it's pressure or what, but they've been better on the road, to be honest with you. But I do think Oklahoma's going to win this game.
That is Curtis Fitzpatrick. Curtis, always great to catch up with you. Give everyone our best at our sister station there in Oklahoma City. Should be a great, low-scoring game on Friday night. Always appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. If you've got a dangerous tree that's leaning over your house or maybe branches blocking your view, call Golston Tree Service today at 205-337-4443. Golston's licensed pros, they can handle everything from trimming and pruning to full tree removals, fast, safe, and affordable. Call Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443.
Your phone calls are welcome. We will get to your phone calls here on this Reaction Monday, 800-239-WJOX. Also, a list has been put out of not only Kalen DeBoer's name, but 5 other names that Michigan is reportedly targeting in their head coaching search. We'll get to that as well. Three-Man Front continues on Jocks.
We're off and running on this Reaction Monday. 1-800-239-WJOX, the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Nick Kelly from AL.com on his way down to Tuscaloosa, covering the Kalen DeBoer and Players press conference coming up today. You just heard from Curtis Fitzpatrick from our sister station in Oklahoma City, saying he likes a low-scoring game, but Oklahoma edging the tide.
Tease it a little bit with Kalen DeBoer and his name being linked to Michigan. Pete Nakos of On3 put out just a few minutes ago the other candidates, the other 5 names that continue to come up during the Michigan coaching search. Louisville's Jeff Brom, Arizona State's Kenny Dillingham, Missouri's Eli Drinkwitz, Washington's Jed Fish, and Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. Eli Drinkwitz, though. There it is again. What did you say his new deal if he were to choose to leave to go in Ann Arbor?
Based on what I read, it was $5 million.
Chump change. Jeff
Also,
Brom, big surprise there.
Yeah, you just mentioned also Minter. Minter's got a show cause by the NCAA. It's got a 1-year show cause. So, I mean, are we just forgetting about the whole Connor Stallions thing?
Well, Pat, this is
everything else
Michigan
that went
we're
on?
talking about. This is Michigan. Is that all you have? Is that the only thing on your rap sheet? Okay, we can live with the show cause. I don't know.
A show cause, for those that do not understand the true meaning of that, it's basically you have to show the NCAA that the cause of them getting in trouble before, that you would not face further penalties by hiring this individual.
If I'm Jesse, I'm hanging out there with Harbaugh in the NFL,
Well,
and
at
I'm
least-
coaching defense.
Well, at least we know now what Sharon Moore was doing during his time that he was suspended.
We do. Well,
You know, because Jim Harbaugh used to go to like Panera and order soup and stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like he'd go hang out,
yeah.
which, I mean, for him, that's very typical.
Well, John Calipari had Dunkin' Donuts, and Harbaugh had Panera.
Yeah. Had
And if
Panera
I lived
bread.
in Ann Arbor, and I just think like Panera, that would be probably a go-to spot, like a big bread bowl on a cold day.
Yeah. Get some soup.
Just sit in there. Yeah, maybe read a book,
Mm-hmm.
study with a group of college kids. That's my local Panera. I don't know.
So apparently his 1-year show cause order for recruiting violations related to early contact with recruits. I think that had to do with maybe COVID.
Which time with Michigan?
I think this had to do with, you remember all the stuff that was going on
Yeah.
that was not supposed to be going on
That's right.
during COVID.
When was the line about the cheeseburger? Was that pre-COVID?
That's another one I forgot.
Was 2023, was that the hacking of the email from Weiss, Matt Weiss, when he got fired? They found out that he had, I'm just trying to think, was that before all the text messages that were deleted from Sharon Moore? There's just a lot there with the Michigan timeline.
And
a
don't
hard
forget
time
about the
figuring
assistant coach that broke into that, was it not a dorm, but wasn't it an administrative building? And they like got into the mainframe computer?
That was Weiss.
That was Weiss? that did that?
The former OC, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Matt Weiss. I think I'm saying his name right. It was not Charlie or Charlie Jr. It was another Weiss.
Not part of that family.
Not Walt. No.
Walt.
Yeah. 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Larry in Homewood. Hey, Larry.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are y'all?
We're doing great. Thank you.
Man, I'm fortunate enough to be able to listen to your show in its entirety every day, and I totally dig it. You guys do a great job.
Thank you for saying that. What's on your mind?
Oh man, I was just going to talk about the Kalen DeBoer to Michigan or Kalen DeBoer to wherever thing.
Okay.
So, and why would you leave Alabama to go to anywhere? I mean, that's the question I have for y'all. It's Alabama's. I'm the biggest Auburn fan on planet Earth, but I mean, why would you leave Alabama to go to anywhere?
Unless it's quality of life or it's climate, I guess that would go into quality of life. I really don't. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. I mean, it's not money.
Well,
it's not facilities.
it's
it's
not money,
not
but-
playing in
but-
the best conference in America. I don't know.
I don't understand people saying that LSU is the best job in America. It's not. Alabama is. I mean, they've won 19 national championships. LSU's won 5. There's no comparison. I don't get it.
I agree. I agree with that.
And I just don't understand unless you're, I don't know, unless you can't handle the pressure, which I don't necessarily think that's a problem for Kalen DeBoer. Why would you go to Michigan over Alabama? I mean, Michigan's won, 5, 6 national championships? Alabama's won 19. It's a no-brainer. You could be a romper room coach and get the head coaching job at Alabama and win a national championship. I mean, look at Gene Stallings. He's a great man. I totally respect the dude. But you look at what he did in his coaching career before he got to Alabama. He was not successful. And then he gets to Bama and he just tears it loose.
Yeah, somewhat, right? He won a national championship. Larry, appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening to us. You're welcome to call anytime. Anything you want to add to that, Pat?
The only thing I can say is that Michigan apparently is going to open up the checkbook in regards to probably overpaying for the next head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already have proven that they have extremely deep pockets when it comes to roster management.
Yeah, not only in football, but in basketball too.
Yeah, but I'm just referring to football.
Yeah, there's a lot of money up there.
They're going to put more towards a roster than Alabama would. I mean, that's just a fact. But that doesn't mean that's a better job.
No. LSU put a lot of money towards their roster this past year.
The other thing that
didn't quite work out.
Anyway, and we'll talk to Sam Webb coming up in a minute, but the general manager of the University of Alabama football team, he is a graduate of the University of Michigan. He played football at Michigan. His wife went to Michigan. So there are connections. They know Ann Arbor. They know that part of the world. Just saying.
Well, I guess if he and his wife want to go back up there, they can. Doesn't mean my coach has got to follow him.
And we have detailed why we think LSU is one of the better jobs. I mean, it's the flagship university of the state of Louisiana.
I don't think it's the best job in America.
No, I don't either. But it's has no competition. There's no checks and balances in the state. They get away with whatever they want to. So I think that's why people say that's one of the best jobs in the country.
But I agree with a
SEC.
lot of what Larry said. And I don't know how many coaches you're evaluating when it comes to Alabama. I don't know if you're pitting their national championships versus another school's. Kalen DeBoer knew the deal going in. I think it's more just about quality of life. That's my professional opinion.
But I go back to something that Nick Kelly said. If you missed that, you can go and download the 3-Man Front podcast, in which he said that he believed that statement would not have come out yesterday by all parties involved if he was not fully committed to actually staying at Alabama.
I want to see what that buyout looks like. If Kalen DeBoer chose to leave, how much he would owe the University of Alabama. Because these other coaches and the way there's a contract structured, you said Eli Drinkwitz, a new deal he's got, $5 million. I think James Franklin, that was $2 million had he left Penn State prior to them firing him. Very one-sided these days.
No doubt.
Be interesting to see what that number is when it finally comes out.
Well, our next guest, he has been consistent in regards to his belief that Kalen DeBoer, even after that statement that came out yesterday, is still potentially in the mix at Michigan. Sam Webb will join us next from Michigan Insider, part of the 247 Network. That's next on 3-Man Front.